I pressed my palms against the cold glass of the intensive care unit doors, wishing I could break through it. Beyond the barrier, they were wheeling Jonathan away. His face was ghost pale beneath the oxygen mask, his chest rising and falling in tiny shivers. The smell of disinfectant clung to my tongue. Every beep from the monitors stabbed at my nerves. For hours I'd sat under those buzzing lights, fingers clutching my wedding band, whispering prayers I barely believed anymore. When the double doors opened, I caught a glimpse of Jonathan's eyes flickering, a weak flutter like a farewell. The doctor's words were sharp and metallic: multi-organ failure, time-sensitive, critical window, each one a hammer blow. I had thought I was prepared for this moment. The sleepless nights, the endless consultations, the money poured into specialists, all of it led here. And still, watching the glass doors slide shut, I felt something inside me break. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Text from my sister. I couldn't answer. I just stared at the reflection of my own face in the glass, pale, hollow-eyed, almost someone else's face, and whispered his name. He didn't move. I turned and walked out, the hospital corridor blurring into a smear of light and voices. Outside, the courtyard air was sharp, smelling of cigarettes and winter. I wrapped my coat tighter, staring at the neon glow of the emergency entrance. This, I thought, is what it feels like to lose everything. I didn't know then that a stranger's voice in this very courtyard would soon shatter everything I thought I understood. The courtyard at night was a dead space between worlds. Cracked stones, dying shrubs, a flickering lamp. I sat on a bench, numb, staring at the emergency doors. That's when I heard it. A man's voice on the phone, low and urgent. At first I tried to ignore it, but the words cut through the haze. Yes, I know he's here. This is our chance. I lifted my head. He stood by the far wall, hood up, half in shadow. Something about his stance clawed at my memory. I leaned forward, heart racing. He ended the call, lit a cigarette. For a moment the lamp caught his face. My breath stopped. The tilt of his chin, the shape of his eyes. Jonathan. Or close enough to hurt. Younger, leaner, but him. He turned. Eyes met. Recognition flashed. His or mine, I couldn't tell. Then he crushed the cigarette and walked toward the side gate, disappearing into the darkness. I sat frozen, pulse hammering. Who was he? How did he know Jonathan? Why our chance? I pulled out my phone and opened Jonathan's old contacts. No brother, no twin. But deep in his call history was a name I'd never noticed. Daniel Carter. Dozens of calls, the last one 3 days before Jonathan collapsed. My hands shook. I stared at the screen, the name like a code I suddenly had to break. I didn't know it yet, but the thread I just found would unravel everything I thought I knew about my husband and myself. I didn't sleep. I sat in the hospital's family room all night, Jonathan's ring warm in my palm, that man's voice echoing in my head. This is our chance. When dawn came, I left the hospital like a sleepwalker and drove to our apartment. Jonathan's office had always been off limits. Boxes, locked drawers, the faint smell of old paper. This time I didn't care. I opened the filing cabinet with the spare key I'd never used. Inside, business cards, bank statements, and a photo. Jonathan and the man from the courtyard, younger and smiling, arms slung over each other's shoulders. On the back, in Jonathan's handwriting, Daniel, 2009. We did it. My throat tightened. Daniel Carter. The name from the phone log. I powered up Jonathan's old laptop, tried the password. It worked. His email archive opened like a trapdoor. Thread after thread, and one labeled, Phoenix. The last message sent days ago. If it all goes wrong, you know where to find me. I'll be waiting. Sender, Daniel Carter. If it all goes wrong. My fingers hovered over the trackpad. Offshore accounts, a Phoenix protocol, experimental treatment plans. Every new discovery spun my head further. Then my phone rang. Block number. I hesitated, then answered. You're looking in the wrong places, Olivia. A male voice, low, the same cadence I'd heard in the courtyard. If you want to save him, stop digging and meet me tonight. The same courtyard. Midnight. The line went dead. I sat on the floor, phone still pressed to my ear, the city waking beyond the window. Jonathan's collapse wasn't an accident. And now, whether I liked it or not, I was part of something dangerous and strange. I clenched the photo in my fist. If Daniel Carter could save Jonathan, I would go, even if it meant stepping into the dark. The hospital courtyard at midnight felt like a stage after everyone had left. Empty benches, black windows, one flickering lamp humming above me. I stood in its pale circle of light, every second heavy in my chest. The emergency doors opened and closed with a soft hiss, the sound of the building breathing. Footsteps echoed from the colonnade. He emerged without the hood this time, and the resemblance slammed into me. The same cut of the jaw, the same tilt of the eyes. Jonathan's face rewritten in sharper lines. "Daniel Carter?" I asked, my voice tighter than I intended. He nodded once. "You shouldn't have opened the laptop." His tone wasn't angry, just tired. "If you know how to help Jonathan, then tell me." "The doctors are treating symptoms," he interrupted. "They don't know the cause." "I do." His words poured out in low, steady bursts. Phoenix wasn't a metaphor but an experimental protocol. Jonathan had been part of it, then tried to shut it down when the company rushed untested trials. Daniel had disappeared on purpose. "Why didn't he tell me any of this?" I whispered. "Because the less you knew, the safer you were." I felt anger spark under my ribs. At Jonathan, at Daniel, at myself. "So what do you need from me?" "A sterile machine. An attending willing to run a compassionate use protocol off the record. Your signature taking liability." He paused. "And your promise not to ask questions I can't answer yet. You're asking me to break the law. I'm asking you to choose between the rules and the man you love." Something in his eyes flickered then. A confession without words. "What are you to him?" I asked softly. "What he told people I was, a partner. What I really am. The son his father pretended not to have." The weight of that hit me like a current. Half-brothers. Secrets piled on secrets. I swallowed hard. "What do I do?" He slipped a metal drive into my hand. "Third floor. Storage room 3B. Code 1129. Old thermal cycler offline. Load the sequence. Call a doctor who owes you nothing. 6 hours from the dose you'll know if it works." We shook hands, his grip steady and cold. As he melted back into the shadows, I stood alone under the lamp, holding the drive like a spark. For the first time since the ICU doors closed, hope felt solid enough to touch. I slipped through the hospital corridors like a trespasser. Each step felt louder than it should have, the fluorescent lights above me buzzing like nervous bees. Jonathan lay somewhere above, his heartbeat mapped in pixels. My own pulse roared in my ears. Room 3B was colder than the hall. Old equipment stacked like forgotten relics. I found the thermal cycler Daniel had described, a squat gray machine with a flickering screen. I set the drive into its port, hands trembling. Lines of code and sequence data spilled across the display like a secret language. I called Dr. Patel, the one attending who had once helped my sister off the record. When he arrived, sleepy-eyed but curious, I handed him a signed waiver I'd scrawled on hospital stationery. He stared at me, then at the machine, and finally nodded. "You didn't get this from me," he muttered. We prepared the microdose in silence. My fingers remembered Jonathan's wedding band, now in my coat pocket. Every movement felt surreal. I was a wife, a smuggler, a scientist's ghost. At 2:13 a.m., we administered the dose. Jonathan didn't stir. Machines beeped steadily. Dr. Patel left without another word. Alone again, I watched Jonathan's chest rise and fall. The line on the monitor stayed flat and calm. No miracles yet. I brushed a strand of hair from his forehead and whispered, "You'd better be worth this." Back in the courtyard before dawn, Daniel waited under the same lamp. "It's done," I said. He gave a single sharp nod. "Then we wait." His face softened, And for the first time he looked almost human, not a shadow. I sat on the bench, exhaustion and adrenaline fighting inside me. The city around us began to lighten, a gray-pink horizon creeping upward. For the first time in days, I let myself imagine Jonathan waking up and telling me the truth. The ICU felt different 6 hours later. Same machines, same antiseptic light, but the air had a pulse of its own. Jonathan's monitors flickered with new data. His oxygen levels climbing. His color returning. Dr. Patel's eyebrows shot up. "Whatever you did," he murmured, "keep doing it." I gripped Jonathan's hand. Warm. Really warm. His eyelids fluttered, a tiny motion that cracked my chest open. "Jonathan," I whispered. His lips parted, a whisper of breath shaping my name. Behind me Daniel stood, arms folded. For the first time, he wasn't hiding in shadows. He met my gaze and nodded once. Not victory but recognition. Secret shared, a life reclaimed. Hours passed. Jonathan slept, but each monitor beep was steadier. I felt the knot inside me unwind. When I finally stepped into the courtyard again, dawn had broken into full daylight. Daniel was gone, leaving only a folded note on the bench. "He'll need you more than ever now. D." I pressed the note to my heart. The cold glass door that had once sealed me off from Jonathan no longer felt like a wall. I had crossed through it. I looked back at the hospital tower. Sterile, unfeeling, but now a place where something impossible had happened. Hope, smuggled in a pocket drive and a midnight deal, had become a heartbeat on a monitor. For the first time in weeks, I stood straight, shoulders back. Jonathan's recovery wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something neither of us had planned. A second life built on truth instead of silence. And as I left the courtyard, I realized the most shocking thing of all. I was no longer the woman who had pressed her hands against the glass and waited to be told what would happen. I was the woman who reached through and pulled life back.